Joining the Observer on the air live couldn't be easier. First, visit bit.ly/obguest. Once you click on that, you'll wind up on this screen. Then, you'll have to choose the webcam that you want to use. You can see there's a list of them here. And once you choose the right webcam, you'll then have to choose the microphone that you want to use. It's all very simple. Then type in your name where it says your name here. And once you have finished typing your name, click the join button. Then you'll be in the queue to be on the air. It's that easy. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the home studio today for the first time at New Digs here on the 25th day of June in the year 2024. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays no matter where it is you are in the country. And with me, as he was last week, is my dear friend, the incomparable director of the Harrison Weather Center, Tony Mondero. Tony, what's going on, brother?
Was it hot enough for you last Friday as we hit 100 degrees?
I tell you what, I don't know how people live without air conditioning, but there are people who do. And, you know, I was talking to Lisa yesterday, or maybe it was Friday, and she was saying that her friend wears sweaters sometimes and doesn't put the air conditioner on in the summer. Can you imagine that? No, just absolutely crazy. So what are we looking at here? I mean, it looks a little less hot than it was last week, right? But yesterday was gorgeous, but now it's getting back up in the high 80s.
Right now, currently in downtown Kearney, in front of the town hall, 91 degrees.
Wow.
Right now. Probably pop out maybe another degree or two. Not bad. If you find shade today, it's not bad out of the sun today. It's not a bad day. Tomorrow, the humidity is going to climb up. The end tomorrow, we have another front coming through, which will give us a nice day Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, like we just had yesterday, with maybe a little bit of less wind. It got really windy yesterday, too.
Yeah.
Some gusts in the low 40s. It brought down some trees, brought down some power lines, around, not the immediate area, but the area of Verona had some trees down with that wind yesterday. Tomorrow will be in the 90s. It'll be oppressive tomorrow. And then we start to get a little bit of a break. Half the week is nice, and then, Sunday we'll get back into the heat and humidity and those shower and thunderstorm chances once again.
How do we go from high 90s to a day like yesterday where it was cooler and it was so windy? Is that just the way the air is? I mean, is there any rationale to that?
It's kind of unusual, too, because you usually don't get strong cold fronts like that, and that was a cold front or a cool front. This time of the year. Usually they die right on top of us, they dissolve, and then you wind up with, some benign weather, and then repeat back into the heat again. So we got lucky, and we're going to get lucky again for the next couple of days. So I like this pattern that we're in, but I don't like the sustained heat. The heat last time we had 90 or better for about 5 days. That's a pretty formidable heat wave. As we were predicted last week, nothing with the tropics for our area. We watch every one of them. They're all going to say they're coming to the East Coast this year. They hype it, and then when it's a low, they always say it's going to be a busy season. And then the main media, and then they blame it on the dust. By the time August has occurred, if we don't have a lot of named storms out there, we watch every one of them here. If they're going to point in this direction, our viewers will be the first to know here that we're watching the storm. Before then we'll contact, and then we're in contact to our Office of Emergency Management, Jim Woods, and all the local towns. We coordinate the storms pretty well around here.
And Jim Woods, of course, is the voice of the town of Harrison, who we always hear when he makes his phone calls, right?
That would be Jack Murphy.
Jack Murphy. Boy, I got them all mixed up today. I'm really batting 1,000, but that's all right. I didn't get much sleep last night after the Stanley Cup Finals, so you'll forgive me for that. Let me ask you a question, too. My mother, as you know, lives in Sussex County. She lives in Newton. And she went into town the other day, and when she got back, there hadn't been any rain in downtown Newton, but her property got soaked. And she wasn't maybe but 2 miles away from home, but the house never got, wasn't wet at all where she was. How does that happen where in such a small geographical area? Can you explain that a little bit?
pop up the showers and thunderstorms. It was perfect over the weekend. You went north of Midland Avenue on Sunday or Saturday there, and you had showers. You had rain showers, and other part area like down here in Harrison dry. And they just call what they call pop-up thunderstorms when they come up and go down. A lot of times they'll go up and down in between the radar sweeps. It happens very, very quickly. That's what happens when you get very warm, unstable air over the area. You will get those pop-up showers and storms. And then you got to be careful too, because a lot of times on the sea breeze boundary, showers and thunderstorms can develop. I can remember a few years ago, around noontime here in Harrison, a few years ago, we had the boundary set up. It was kind of early for it. Not only would it produce a very heavy thunderstorm, but actually the last time we had hail here in town. Hail was measured. It was pea size, but that thing went literally right up over the town of Harrison.
Remarkable. If you're just joining us, Tony Mondero of the Harrison Weather Center is here with us today. And speaking of these storms, there was a horrible story out of Seaside Park over the weekend where a gentleman was out on the beach. He was trying to get people off the beach because there was lightning and thunder, and he got struck and was killed. I often wonder about that. When you see people who are on the beach, is it wise to just get off the beach? Or, like in that case, he was trying to help people, but I can't imagine why people weren't just getting off and getting away.
Have like a smoke detector that people should have. Everybody should have a smoke detector. Everybody should have a weather app with weather warnings coming over. And there's plenty of them out there now. WeatherBug is one, the AccuWeather app. There's a ton of them out there. You have to be weather aware. More people were weather aware, we wouldn't have the injuries and deaths. So if you're sitting on the beach, this is simple. You look into the western sky, and that sky is turning black like night. You have enough of time to get out of there. Once you hear thunder, you're in trouble. You have to get out of there as soon as you see that sky turn. Okay, if the storm doesn't come or changes direction, so what? At least you're going to be safe. Go to one of the restaurants, go to one of the stands. There's plenty of places to go along most beaches and boardwalks where you can take cover and take shelter. I was there on vacation a few years ago when the lifeguard got killed in Seaside Heights, and there was 5 people struck. The main boat hit the guard, and the little spears that come off the boat hit the rest of the people. There was like 5 or 6 injuries. There was plenty of time for them to move, as that storm was coming across the bay. Another thing you have to watch out down there for is also water spouts as well. Just be weather aware, not only for the thunderstorms, be weather aware for rip currents as well. Check out the local weather forecast when you go down the shore. It's simple. Go to the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, hit the beach report, you point and click, and put the zip code in on the website, and you'll get all the weather information that you need. You have to be weather aware. If we say anything else, if anybody out there gets anything that we say here, myself and Kevin, when it comes to the weather, be weather aware.
I don't want to sound like a dummy, because this may even sound that way, but why is it that beaches are so susceptible to strikes? Is it because there's nothing else around, like trees and things like that, to catch lightning? Or what? Is there a scientific reason why that happens so often, where people on beaches get hit?
I'm not sure, Kevin, what the exact science is behind that. But down in Ocean County, unlike our area here, where a lot of times we get a sea breeze front, and these hills, these Watchung mountains to the west of us kind of erode the thunderstorms as they move east. Down in Ocean County, yes, they do have that boundary too. However, a lot of times they sneak through because there's no mountain chain down there to break them up. So that's why a lot of times, especially south of Route 195 and along the ocean beaches and along down the Forester area down there, you wind up getting very strong to severe thunderstorms. And they're very well forecasted by our short-term models, and they do have plenty of information. They'll have the Harrison's Weather Outlook put out in the morning, then you'll have being followed up by either a severe thunderstorm or a severe weather watch, followed by warnings and advisories. So There's plenty of information out there. People just have to be weather aware. I can't stress it enough.
It is remarkable. They listen when they listen when you see these things on TV news. People go out and buy their eggs and their milk and their water, but when they sometimes they just don't listen to the more important ones. And listen, if Tony is saying it, it is dead serious, and you got to be listening to what he says. That's just the bottom line. If you're
Yeah, we'll have the updates. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kevin.
No, please.
I get excited when I talk about stuff like this. But the situation is here, and you can't blame all the mainstream media because sometimes they're taking their direction from a higher authority, their bosses, and sometimes they like to hype the situation. But you keep hyping and putting those red screens, weather alerts, and code ones and code blues and code this and code that. People, it starts to become background noise. I think here at the Harrison Weather Center, we have a very long-standing, thing here where we will only put stuff if we know it's going to happen for that day, but we just don't throw it against the wall and hope that it sticks. We put a lot of hard work doing into that. It costs me plenty to put hard work into that for everybody out here. The Weather Center. And again, while we're on, it costs me plenty. Thank you for everybody who's donated to our GoFundMe page. We really appreciate that. Believe me, we need it now more than ever here because there is a real possibility that the Harrison Weather Center could close within the next year or two if things don't shape up over here because it's just got too expensive to keep the lights on.
To those who are watching, on the screen right now is your GoFundMe site, which is something I have to do. I haven't done yet, and I apologize that I haven't yet, but that doesn't mean I have forgotten. But if you are so inclined and you are watching us right now, you would be doing us all a tremendous favor because it costs Tony incomprehensible amounts of money to run the Harrison Weather Center, and he gets $0 and 0 cents from the government to fund this. All of the money, all of the gadgets, all of the equipment that you see, he has paid for out of his own pocket. And he has worked his butt off for 40 plus years. So to those of you who may not have yet donated, it is on the screen right now, www.gofundme/F, I think that's for fundraisers, /help-support- the-Harrison-Weather-Center. It is on the screen right now. You can find it on his Facebook page, and I don't ask for much from our viewers, but this is something that is near and dear to my heart because Tony is, and the Harrison Weather Center is. I hope you will find it within your hearts to donate so that he can keep this place up and running. He works too hard, has worked too hard. He has made a legacy for himself. It would be a sin of all sins if this ever had to shut down because funding went dry. So to all who have donated, we thank you too, and to anybody who may, thank you as well. Tony, you deserve it. You really do. You really do.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Let's look at some lighter notes too. Lisa, one heck of a job last week with you with that interview.
Thank you.
Breaking news I have. Mr. and Mrs. Met have been DFA'd by the New York Mets and the Grimace. The Grimace.
As soon as you said Mr. and Mrs., I knew it. What is this? I mean, they're one game out of the wild card, and they're going to play the Yankees tonight and tomorrow. What is going to happen? Are you buying into it? Because I'm waiting until this series is over before I do. If they win one of two or even sweep, I'll believe.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah. And the Grimace shirts are selling like hotcakes.
Yes. Did you perchance get a chance to see last night was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals? And when I tell you, I've been watching hockey for almost 40 years now. It was one of the greatest hockey games, one of the best sporting events I have ever seen in my life. I would imagine it's going to be a ratings bonanza, too, because a Game 7 is such a rarity. But what an amazing Game 7 with the Florida Panthers winning 2-1. They were up 3-0. the series got tied, and then the Panthers won in Game 7. What an unbelievable series, Tony. If you're not a hockey fan, this is the type of thing that makes people hockey fans.
Well, I'm a huge, as you know, Kev, I'm a big Devils fan. So after the Devils are out of it, I usually shut down hockey for the rest of the season. But last night I did watch the last 5 minutes of that game, and that was incredible. You're right. That was very, very good. I actually went out of my way because I think the Mets were just finished. Well, the Mets were off last night.
No, the Mets are off, right?
So I was watching my local news shows that I usually watch. I'm a big news junkie, and the Weather Channel, of course, and the Fox Weather, and all that other good stuff. And I said, let me find the game for the last few minutes. And yeah, you're correct. It was really, really good game.
Yeah, those last 5 minutes, all the shots were from Edmonton. They did everything but put the puck in the net. I almost lost it a few times during those last couple of rushes. The shots were beautiful, and the unbelievable chaos was beautiful. And I'm happy for the Panthers, though. You know, I used to live in South Florida, and a couple of the guys who are on the broadcast team I got to know over the years when I was doing radio. And boy, oh boy, they deserve it. They really do. And I feel for Edmonton, too, though. You know, Canada hasn't won the Stanley Cup since 1993, so they're getting a little aggravated since it's been so long. But a great series, indeed.
I'm just reading that one comment by Carol Manley about her dad, thought I was a good guy. And Carol, let me tell you, me and your dad got along very well and worked very well together, as well as your brother with the North Arlington Police Department. These were cops. It's not they're good police officers today, Kevin, but they're not the same as they were back then.
Yes.
When I started working there, it was a different fabric of a police officer. Back in the day, back there. What wonderful people. Absolutely. Thank you, Carol, for that. I appreciate it.
And I hope you saw it too. She said she'll be mailing a check, and it will be in memory of her late dad, who we all miss. And that's a beautiful testament to you. It really is. And
Ed was a great guy.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. We were in battle in many trenches when he was even on the road before he was inside as a captain, operations. And it was really, they were sometimes back then.
Yes. And when I first got to the Observer back in 2006, John was the chief, and he was always so good to me. And, it wasn't always that way. I was still young. I wanted everything. I was demanding of police officers. I always wanted the story first. I wanted it quick. John was always a class act. And I was very sad when he retired. And another class act, too. And then to know that he is, he was Carol's brother. I mean, what else? That's it. That's all I ever needed to know. That to me is perfection. Great, wonderful family, right?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. John was another exceptional chief. Yeah, all the chiefs I've worked with were good, but I would say the ones who stood out in my career in North Arlington were John Hearn and Frank Italiano.
Yes.
They're the two that stood out.
Absolutely.
They're the two who really stood out and always reached their hand. I can call both of those chiefs anytime 24/7. And if I had an issue, it was taken care of. It was more or less an operational issue too. It wasn't anything crazy.
Right. And that's not to take anything away from Louis Guioni or Scott Henberg either, because the two of them are class acts in their own ways. Just a different style. That's all.
Right. Now, Louis was very demanding of his people, and I learned a lot from Louis Guioni of how the service should be run. And I always tried to catch up with him after the funeral we had for Joe Strokas. He wrote us a beautiful letter about how EMS, did our thing with the family and everything like that. And I wanted to say to Lou, and Lou, if you're watching this, if it wasn't for you, we don't have an operation like that for all the chiefs. If it wasn't for all the mayors, Dan Pronte, Russ Tittman, Glenn Kaiser, Phil Massa, I'm sure I'm missing somebody in there, all the mayors I've worked under. They demanded the best of the best And I tried over the years to give them the best of the best, for the borough of North Darling. Missing a lot of kids events that I had in my family, giving up a lot of holidays, working day and night. And I never knew the word no. If a resident or a visitor needed something, we got it done.
I wouldn't say you tried. You did. You
Yeah.
did. You succeeded. You succeeded. And your tenure there was, as to me, as exemplary as any I have ever seen out of a public servant. And you should be proud of your service. I hope you are, because I know I am proud to call you my friend because of that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Well, listen, I'm sure you have a new show, but before we go, I'm going to say, everybody, like and subscribe today, will you? Be nice.
You beat me to it as usual. It's on the screen now, but Tony always reminds me, my friend, it is a pleasure. It was great to do this, and hopefully by next week we'll be back on our regular Thursday regular special show together. Okay, brother?
Absolutely. And now, everybody, Kevin Knessler, and as Roger Grimsby used to say on WABC TV, here now.
Now the news. Beautiful. Here now the news. I'll talk to you later, brother.
Take care. Have a great day.
There he is, the one, the only Tony Mondero of the Harrison Weather Center, my dear friend, somebody who I've grown to truly care about, and somebody who I respect and admire more than I can say. So, Eddie McCune, Kearney firefighter, says, on behalf of the Kearney FMB, congrats and thank you for all of your hard work over the years. We always noticed your help. And if there's anybody who's got a finger on the pulse of how things are in other towns, it's Ed McCune, who is I believe, vice chairman or vice president of the FMBA, and also, if I'm not mistaken, he's also the vice chairman of the state FMBA, too. Eddie, you correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that is a pretty remarkable comment on behalf of Tony Mondero from our dear friend Eddie McCune. Now, before I get to this week's newspaper, I want to make a comment, and I'm not going to get into this as in depth as I will in the coming days, but I just want to say a few things about something that's going on, that has been going on in the town of Kearney over the last couple of months. Many of you know Juan Barroso, who is a firefighter in the town of Kearney, a longtime firefighter. He was also the chief inspector of the Kearney Fire Department, and recently he was suspended and he was demoted back from being the chief fire inspector into a rank-and-file firefighter over some of the most absolutely absurd, asinine, and ridiculous things I have ever seen in my entire 30-year career as a journalist. And many of those years have been spent here at the Observer and here covering the town of Kearney, including the fire department. I still have more research to do before I can speak freely about what I completely know. But what I can say right now, without equivocation and without having to fear being sued for saying anything libelous, is that what happened to him was a travesty, a complete and utter injustice. This is a man who has dedicated his life to the Kearney Fire Department. This is a man who has dedicated his life to being of service of others. And it is not inaccurate to say that in the years that he has been a member of the Kearney Fire Department, Juan Barroso has raised $250,000 in cash for charities. That includes Camp Fatima. It includes many other things that he has raised funds for over the years. And what I am told is that he was suspended because he used a town photocopier to make copies with paper that he purchased on his own, and because he took an online course, which is required for continuing education for members of the civil service, while he was in the office at Kearney Fire Headquarters. Now, the reason these trumped up charges were made was because apparently the course that he was taking was for his second job as a special police officer in the township of Fairfield. I'll just say this before I go any further. And again, I've made it very clear I still have to do some more research before I can speak further about this. It's utter nonsense. It is just utter nonsense, because if you know anything about people, it is that they make photocopies all the time when they are at work for non-work purposes. And I would bet that by doing this, they have opened up a can of worms that will be impossible to close, because I would put my life on this, that Juan Barroso is not the first person in the history of the Kearney Fire Department or any civil service organization to have used town time to take a continuing education course. By the way, the course, I believe, was on sexual harassment or diversity, was one or the other. Either of those two topics would have been applicable to his work as a police officer and as a firefighter. And the course was on in the background. It wasn't like he stopped and he was looking at the screen and stopped the work he was doing. He was doing his paperwork while this course was being played in the background. Everybody does it that way. I've had to take courses online, and I have always had it on in the background while I was doing other work. He was demoted. He takes a big pay cut, and nobody spoke up for him. Nobody spoke up for him. And there are people who are running for office who will face the consequences of not speaking up for him in the next year. I will never understand it. I will never, ever understand it for as long as I live. This guy has put his life out there in service to others. And what has happened to him over the last couple of months is as despicable as anything I have ever seen in my life. I can't believe it, that this has happened to Juan, that he was demoted. He was a phenomenal chief fire inspector. He did everything that was asked of him and then some. And he never asked for praise. He never asked for anything in return. And this is the thanks he gets. What I don't know is who is ultimately responsible for this having happened. But I will find out. I will find out. And I can assure you right now that whoever the responsible parties are shouldn't be able to look at themselves in the mirror today. They shouldn't, because this is a guy, and I know there are two sides to every story. I understand it. I understand that fully. But what I can say in this case is I know that Juan Barroso did not do something that rises to the equivalency of a suspension for as long as it was and a demotion to rank and file from a chief fire inspector in the town of Kearney. Nothing anybody tells me will ever let me believe that the punishment matched the offense. And yet that's what happened. And that's why on Friday, if you look at the screen right now, you see Boatyard Blaze. The Raps Boatyard caught fire Friday morning. And I was down there at the fire scene. I was fortunate to be able to get close enough. And I saw the aforementioned Ed McCune, who's in the chat room. And I saw Juan there in his firefighter turnout gear. One of the most foreign-looking things I've ever seen, because this is not usually when he's at a fire scene. He's usually at the scene when it's over to do the investigation. And he was there, as all the other guys and gals were too, in oppressive heat, fighting a pesky fire too. And he was there doing what he's paid to do, doing it right, doing it well. And that was the thanks that he got for 20 plus years of service to the town of Kearney. A kick in the face and a demotion. There isn't a soul who believes this was done the right way. It was handled abhorrently, as badly as anything I've ever seen in my career. And I just hope that the people who are responsible for this, and they know who they are, I don't necessarily know who they are, but they know who they are. I hope they can give themselves a good pat on the back and say, job well done, to themselves. And if they can, then perhaps they're more psychopaths than anybody could have ever imagined, because what they did was disgusting, disgraceful, and incomprehensible. Did Juan Barroso so much better than this. And the people of the town of Kearney need to know this happened to him. And the reason I'm speaking about it right now is because I'm that confident that nothing anybody says will ever convince me that he deserved the punishment for what he did. Nothing. And I believe him so much so that I can say here unequivocally again that I believe he told me the whole story and that there isn't or aren't any details that were left out. And if he did, shame on him. And shame on me too for believing it. But I believe in my heart of hearts that he was wronged, perhaps as poorly as anybody has ever been wronged in the town of Kearney. And don't you dare think that there are not other civil servants in this town who have not done worse and who have gotten away with it. I can think of many of them off the top of my head. I'm not going to go there, though. But those people who are out there who are in the know this is the truth, that there are other civil servants who have done far more egregious things and have gotten a slap on the wrist. I hope it never happens to anybody again. If I were a civil servant, a firefighter, a police officer, a member of the EMT service, whatever it is, I wouldn't want to work for the town right now because I would be afraid that all I would have to do was stub my toe and somebody would be able to say, hey, you did that on town time. You're going to lose $30,000 a year and you're going to get demoted or you're going to get fired. Because that's what happened to him. And it should not have happened. There'll be more to say in the coming weeks once I get more information and when I get more details. But that's where it stands right now. And I have never, in 49 and 1/2 years on this earth, been more disgusted by something I've seen in my life. And that nobody in that governing body stood up and said, we got to stop this, is nauseating beyond words. And it should never have happened this way. The Kearney's Farmer Market. Kearney's Farmer Market has returned. In fact, Thursday, 2 days from now, is the first day of the return of the farmers market. It's every Thursday. I hope each and every one of you will frequent it. There are fresh Jersey tomatoes and fruits and vegetables and jams and all sorts of things. And my first friend ever made in the town of Kearney when I first moved here in 1985, Josh Humphrey, twice will be having special block parties in July, in August, right on Garfield Avenue. Please check it out. Read the story and then also check out all of the different things that Josh is putting together and the KUEZ. This is Linda DeIsa's first farmers market as the KUEZ coordinator, and she's doing a great job so far. But please go out and support Jersey farmers who put so much effort into this. And this is going to be a great time. It's going to be a great summer of wonderful events at the Kearney Farmers Market, which begins 2 days from today. The State Association of Chiefs of Police have warned of these new scams that are happening with people who are posing as utility workers. This is already a very dangerous situation where these people really say they're from PSE&G, and if you don't pay your bill with a gift card, we're going to turn off your electricity. We've talked about this ad nauseum. You know very well that you cannot use a gift card to pay for your PSE&G bill or for your Comcast or Verizon bill. But it's happening more and more, and these scam artists are getting clever. So please take a read through this. It's very important that you do, especially if you have elderly people in your families. This is something that was very disturbing. It happened in Harrison a couple of days ago where a young girl, 14 years of age, I would imagine probably a student at Washington Middle School, if not Harrison High School, was walking home. The guy's walking along, driving along on his motorcycle, and he stops and starts talking to the girl, asks her name. She's a very bright girl. She gave a fake name and continued to walk and then ran for her life. And this guy was trying to get her to hop on the motorcycle. 14 years of age, has no idea who this girl is. Fortunately, the Harrison Police Department arrested this creep. I don't know his name. They did not release his name, and I would say presumably for the benefit of the victim in this case. But a phenomenal job by Dave Strumolo and the Harrison Police Department getting this SOB off the streets after what he did, trying to lure this poor 14-year-old girl off the streets of Harrison. It is good to know that there is one less criminal on the streets of Harrison today, thanks to the hard work of the Harrison PD. The 4th of July celebration for the town of Kearney is on the 4th of July. When else would it be? Of course, if it rains on Thursday. The fireworks will be moved to Friday, so Ralph Katafi, the Director of Recreation, has a full-page ad. Check it out. And speaking of the Director of Recreation, Phil Martone, the former Kearney Director of Recreation, died over the weekend. He was only 73 years old. So God rest his soul. Phil Martone was a wonderful human being who led the Kearney Recreation Department when I was a kid for many, many years, and we will miss him. God rest his soul. He had pancreatic cancer. 73 is way too young. Our dear friend Melanie Ryan has an op-ed this week about ABC hearings. There's a big one coming up. Or a couple of big ones coming up. So I'd like to point your attention to it. It's on page number 6. The headline reads, Council must consider corrective, not punitive, ABC sanctions. And that is, of course, in the town of Kearney. And if you live in Kearney, if you're a small business owner, whatever the case may be, you really need to take a look at this because it's a very, very important topic and it is timely. Our Jason Bernstein has 2 sports stories this week, and there are also greetings from numerous organizations and businesses in the 7 towns that we cover, and wishing people a happy 4th of July. There are 4 pages worth of greetings. We hope you'll go through those. And as there is each and every week, there are 2 pages of classifieds that will be able to bring you new jobs, new apartments. There's a lot of apartments this week, many, many more than we had in the last couple of weeks. Marcelo Haranga is here with us, and he says it pretty succinctly. Thank God this creep was taken off the streets. Amen, Marcelo. Marcelo is a Harrison resident. His brother Jesus is a councilman in the town of Harrison. Great job getting them off the streets, indeed. Now, we will be closed. We'll have another Observer Live a week from today, but we're also going to be closed next Thursday and Friday. It doesn't change our deadlines. All it means is that on Thursday and Friday, we won't be able to take any new ads or anything of that nature, and we'll all be off enjoying the holidays, which we certainly hope each and every one of you will be too for Independence Day. But I wanted to make sure everybody knew that we will have our offices closed on the 4th and the 5th of July, and we will be back in operation Monday the 8th of July for regular, normal business operating hours. That's going to do it for this week. We will be back 1 week from today unless something new news-wise breaks. And I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. I certainly did. From the home studio, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. And we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays, everybody. Stay nice and cool. Bye-bye.